Hey guys, Tiara here with Dot Girl Fitness. As you can see, we have a little bit different of a setup, and that's because I moved to my new place in the area where I'm supposed to be completing my residency training. And it seemed only fitting that at this point in my journey, I finally reveal which medical specialty I'll be completing my residency training in. So I've talked a lot about how I'm starting residency, but I've yet to explain to you which field of medicine I'll be going into. So, drum roll please. I am going into pediatrics. So, how did I decide on pediatrics? Well, I'll start out by saying that I didn't grow up just knowing that I was going to go into pediatrics. I think a lot of times people think that the ideal personality of a pediatrician is someone who is bubbly, someone who has always known that they wanted to work with children, and someone who is a big kid at heart. I will say that I am none of those things, and I didn't always know I wanted to go into this field, but I did fit a lot of the other characteristics that nobody really talks about that are associated with someone who may be a perfect fit for the field of pediatrics. So I didn't even consider pediatrics until I did my third year clerkship rotation. But when I started that rotation, everything started to click. I realized that I was starting the rotation earlier than everyone else because I would make sure that I was there first thing in the morning to see the patients before most people had even gotten to campus. And I typically wanted to stay late just so I could check on the patients I was seeing and recheck on them and making sure parents' questions were answered. And I was really just going above and beyond for this rotation, but I couldn't really explain why. I just knew that I enjoyed being on the rotation and I enjoyed putting my best foot forward, even more than I had been on other rotations. I also really enjoyed the process of figuring out what was wrong with a patient when I was on my pediatrics rotation. It's 10 times more fun finding a diagnosis in a younger patient population because they can't express to you in the same way that an adult would what's going on with them. So you have to become really creative in figuring out what a child is trying to say to you about their signs and symptoms, and I really enjoyed that thought process and figuring out what these younger patients were trying to say. Something else that drew me to pediatrics is actually something that a lot of people will say makes them veer away from the field, which is not only treating the patient, but also having to deal with the parents. A lot of my peers who decided against pediatrics said that they felt like this would slow down the process or that adding parents to the equation would also add stressors to the patient management process. From my perspective, having parents added to the mix means that in the best case scenario, you have built-in patient advocates who are available 24/7 to help you solve the issues going on with your patient. But I feel like with all fields of medicine, there's always going to be some aspect that works to your advantage in a best case scenario that could be a little bit of a downside in the worst case scenario. For me, those potential downsides don't deter me from the major benefits of this amazing field. Pediatrics was also a great fit for me because, unbeknownst to me, I'd already been working with kids for such a long time, just in a different way, and that way was through tutoring. As I mentioned in one of my earlier videos, I've been tutoring since I was in college, and I kept it up all through medical school. Tutoring is something I fell in love with. And although I started out tutoring college kids, by the time I was in medical school, I started adding middle school kids and even kids as young as 5 through 8 years old. It was so much fun, and when I made it to my pediatrics rotation, it kind of clicked that if I enjoyed tutoring children so much, then maybe working with children from a medical perspective would also be something I was passionate about. And that turned out to be true. One of my most favorite moments on my pediatrics rotation, and something that stuck with me far beyond my pediatrics rotation, was an interaction I had with one little girl on my hematology and oncology rotation. She was a young African-American female who came from humble beginnings, and she was very sickly, so she was used to coming in and out of the hospital. When I knocked on the door and came in her room and introduced myself to her, she looked kind of sad and was moping around when I first opened the door. But when she got a glimpse of me, she lit up. And as soon as she got close enough, she reached up and lightly tugged on my hair. And she said, "You have curly hair just like me." And it made me realize that I was probably the first person she'd ever seen that looked like her that was in a white coat. And it made me realize how much of an impact I could have on young people throughout a career in this field. So I'm not sure exactly what I plan on doing within the field of pediatrics, but I know that whatever I do, I will be truly content. A pediatrics residency is 3 years, and most pediatric fellowships are 3 years. I'm not sure exactly if I want to go straight into general pediatrics or if I want to do a fellowship to specialize in anything after I finish my pediatrics residency. But I'm excited to use residency as a way to figure all of that out. That's pretty much it. My specialty is officially revealed, and I'm so excited to take you all on the journey with me through my pediatrics residency. If you're a pre-medical or a medical student, what specialties are you considering at this point? If you're a resident or a practicing physician, what field did you decide to go into and how did you decide on it? Let me know in the comments below. If you liked this video, make sure to hit the like button and to leave a comment below. And if you want to see more videos on medicine, fitness, and lifestyle, then make sure to subscribe to my channel. See you next time.